So recently, there's been this epidemic on TikTok of tradwives that have been blooming out of nowhere. Well, seemingly out of nowhere. Tradwives have been a thing for a long time, but very recently, they're making a huge re-explosion, if that makes sense. And I thought it'd be pertinent to make a video on the whole topic, talking about some current tradwives, the most viral ones, people who've sort of escaped the lifestyle as well, positive stories, negative stories, the lot, as well as correct some misinformation that so many people have been parroting about the lifestyle. There's one in particular that I'm just itching to get at, and I will tell you exactly what it is after you subscribe to the channel. You've been so supportive recently, man. I just feel so loved. I feel so loved, and I don't want it to stop, right? Happiness is fleeting, and I'm waiting for the inevitable day where I'm depressed again for a period of time, so don't let that day be today, and subscribe to the channel. Okay, so I want to start this video by going over exactly what a tradwife is, for those who don't know. Because even those who do think they know what a tradwife is, oh, a tradwife is someone who just sort of stays at home and does traditional wife things, but it's not really the economy for that nowadays. Well, that's like a very surface level definition. That's not really what it is. There's so much more to it. This great article here by Media Diversity Institute sort of explains it perfectly, in my opinion. The rise of the tradwife movement on social media. This is an article from last year, but very recently on TikTok, there have been a lot of accounts going completely viral for claiming this lifestyle, if that makes sense. But like I said, the term has existed for ages now. The most popular tradwife on TikTok, I believe currently, is the ballerina farm lady, who I believe you've made multiple videos on this channel about. It's a very cautionary and, in my opinion, quite depressing tale. But we're not going to be talking about her too much in this video. I want to talk about some, other people that we've not spoken about before. The tradwife movement has gained significant traction on social media platforms like TikTok. The trend rose in popularity during quarantine as influencers and content creators began to showcase a lifestyle centered around traditional gender roles, often portrayed as conventionally attractive and affluent. These women embraced the role of a traditional wife, focusing on housemaking and supporting their husbands as the primary earners. Now, this is the bit of misinformation that I want to correct heavy, like off the bat. Because one thing people don't seem to understand is that this idea that traditional wives do a lot of the housework whilst the husband goes out and works is not really accurate. For the majority of time that jobs have existed, like for most of human history, women have been partaking in incredibly strenuous labor. They've been working jobs for most of time. This very specific niche of tradwife is based solely upon the upper to middle class, maybe, of the 18th to 19th centuries, like late 18th century, 19th century, early 19th century. It's like not even, in my opinion, like 100 years worth of time where only the rich families could afford to do something like this. Because one thing you hear a lot is, a tradwife is like, it's not something I would do, but especially in today's economy, it's not really possible because you can't really have a house on a one-person income unless you're like mega rich. But it's like, no, that's never really been the case. For most families, for most of human history, it's been a lot more than just a one-person income household. Don't get me wrong, the housing market and the economy are not looking great right now, but it's not as though it was like easy beforehand. Women have always been working, it's just a lot less taboo now, for the best, by the way. And the gateway and openings for jobs that women are now able to do has also increased vastly. These have had a lot of knock-on effects on dating, especially because now women require more than just a man who makes enough money to take care of the home. Because now that women can work and make their own money and have careers, they, the standards go up, which is good, by the way. I think that's a good thing. Because now money is not the only thing that's important. You actually need to be like, a good person and stuff. So one thing that I always find really funny about those red pill content creators who put so much emphasis on money and how much income they're making, and this sort of call back and sort of urge to return back to this traditional way of living. In my mind, it's just a big facade for how shit your personality is, if that makes sense. It's like, this is really all you have to offer. Anyway, much of the content associated with the tradwife movement idealizes the domestic life, with women taking on roles as caretakers, cooking, cleaning, and raising children. Supporters of this lifestyle argue that it celebrates femininity, domesticity, and a simpler, more traditional way of life. However, critics point out that the movement promotes outdated gender roles, reinforces financial dependence on men, and risks undoing decades of progress in the fight for gender equality. While some tradwives openly attribute their lifestyles to religious or conservative beliefs, others emphasize its aesthetic appeal, wearing vintage-inspired aprons, soft makeup, and showcasing an idyllic home life. This romanticized depiction, however, raises concerns about the impact on their audience, particularly young women, who may be drawn in by the carefully curated image without fully understanding the potential limitations of this lifestyle. Now, this is a very important thing here, is because if you're a traditional wife or a tradwife or whatever, and everything is going amazingly and swimmingly, that's great, more power to you, and I'm happy to hear it. However, it's one of those things that I feel as though if you're going to promote online, you are almost obligated to list the drawbacks and risks to said lifestyle. The same way that people in open relationships and polyamorous people most of the time do not recommend their way of living or their way of dating to most people. Like, they will openly acknowledge this is not the type of thing that 99% of people should be doing. Like, I am a unique case, if that makes sense. Not me, it's I mean, the hypothetical of like whatever, it don't matter. I feel like tradwives should do a similar thing, right? Where if they're online talking about how great their lifestyle is and they're sort of shimmying tidying themselves up to look like this really cool vintage 50s style makeup and fashion, there needs to be some sort of disclaimer that's like, look, being a trad wife for me is great, but do not rush into a marriage or relationship with a man and depend on them solely, especially if you've not got enough time to know them properly. Like, a lot of these trad wives, you'll see they've met them and like within 6 weeks they're married and their whole life depends on them now. It's so incredibly risky. Again, this is all stuff that we'll get into in just a second, of course, when we actually look at the influencers themselves. There's also subgenres of the trad wife movement that sort of ban birth control, like they're ultra conservative, ultra regressive, if that makes sense. Here we go. Yeah, here's a ballerina farm being mentioned here. And Hannah Nealman, a mother of 8 living on a farm in Utah, is an example of someone who actively promotes strict gender roles in her content. As a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, otherwise known as Mormons, Hannah's lifestyle is strongly influenced by her religious and personal beliefs, which place a high value on traditional gender roles. While her social media portrays an idyllic life, Hannah has admitted the physical toll of raising 8 children without outside help, sometimes leading to exhaustion. Exhaustion is an understatement, by the way. Like, the shit we've read about her, it is honestly harrowing. For many in the LDS community, the trad wife lifestyle is not just a choice, but a religious and cultural expectation. This raises the question, are these women truly empowered, or are they conforming to societal and religious pressures? The carefully curated content often hides the struggles of maintaining this demanding role, potentially painting a picture of fulfillment when it may actually feel like an obligation or submission to outdated gender norms. Just a reminder, by the way, again, I don't want to make this whole video about Ballerina Farm, but the way that the husband, for lack of a better term, seduced his wife, or Hannah Nealman, was he asked her out multiple times, got denied every single time, and then when Hannah Nealman was like flying somewhere, his dad owned the airplane company, so he got him to like sit him next to her so that she literally could not escape him for multiple hours on end. I'm trying to slip that one in there. I feel like it's pertinent every time I mention these people because it's such a weird story, and they talk about it like this, like it's this romantic moment, this like incredible bit of seduction. It's like, no, dude, you're just a creep. The rise of the trad-wife movement poses a challenge to the progress women have made over the past century. From the 1920s onwards, suffragettes fought for women's rights to vote, own property, and pursue careers. The 1970s marked a significant shift in the push for equal pay and opportunities. However, the growing popularity of the trad-wife movement has raised concerns that it could undo much of this progress. Influencers like Hannah Nealman, known for her TikTok account Ballerina Farm, and Nara Smith, who has 11.5 million followers and 632 million likes, have helped amplify the movement, prompting worries about its impact on women's rights and equality. I think we can rest relatively easy, hopefully, probably, that accounts like Ballerina Farm and what was the other lady's name? Nara Smith, that was it. Accounts like that aren't going to affect laws in Congress, for example. I don't think it's going to sort of regress any of the rights that women have fought so hard for over the past century. I don't think it's going to undo feminism in the way that a lot of people are so fearful of. You know, feminism isn't, it's not like this Jenga tower that can just be toppled over by one wrong move, or a couple of influencers promoting a lifestyle that doesn't exactly align with it. I don't know, call me optimistic. I don't think that feminism is on such firm ground that the trad-wife movement is not even worth mentioning, but it's on firm enough ground to where I do genuinely believe that the trad-wife movement isn't going to like negatively affect it too much. Again though, this is a conversation we'll get more into as the video goes on. Critics argue that the movement romanticizes a past where women had little autonomy and were confined to the home, often without the choice to work or build independent lives. Many question why, at a time when women have more opportunities than ever, some are choosing to glorify a lifestyle that once restricted them. While some find comfort and empowerment in traditional roles, others worry that it undermines decades of progress toward gender equality. Fiona O'Malley, CEO of Turn to Me, warns that the trend reinforces harmful gender stereotypes, undermines gender equality, and promotes unhealthy relationships with power imbalances, highlighting the concerns it could reverse progress for women. I think it's a little unfair to demonize the concept of trad-wife to this extent. Like, it's not as though it's a system that is unable to function properly. If there is a man who is ethical and moral and is earning enough money and isn't a huge arsehole, and there's proper communication between him and his wife, and when I say proper communication, I mean in terms of like who does what percentage of what, and also we have to make it abundantly clear that just because I might be the one earning the money, that does not make your role in the household any less important or empowering. Like, yeah, taking care of children doesn't exactly make you money, but it's probably more important than what the husband's doing. And it also needs to be said that it can't just be the woman taking care of the children. Like, the concept of a trad-wife family where like the father has little to no interaction with said children because he's working that much, that is alien to me. I don't think that ever should happen. Me personally, the concept of trad-wife and like this whole movement or whatever, or partaking in this lifestyle is it's not appealing to me. I don't know if it's just because I personally like women who are like super career driven. I could imagine maybe if you're a man who likes a more traditional type woman, for lack of a better term, then maybe it could sort of appeal to you if you're making enough money. But then there's a caveat of you need to not be a fucking arsehole. And like, you can't even just be an okay, you need to be like a really, you have to have your fucking head screwed on to make something like this work. And I mean screwed on like tight as a duck's ass. I'm talking about as tight as Scrooge McFucking Duck. Actually no, as tight as fucking Mr. Krabs. And he sold his employee's soul for 62 cents. You need your head screwed on that tight. Figures like Andrew Tate and the Red Pill community have amplified these views, encouraging men to adopt a controlling view of relationships. Tate, a well-known figure in this group, promotes a version of masculinity that treats women as inferior and suggests men should dominate. His controversial messages, especially among young men, reinforce the belief that women should be subservient. The Red Pill community shares similar views, intensifying pressure on both men and women to conform to outdated and harmful expectations. Let's be clear here, and this is a great thing, by the way. Honestly, it's beautiful. The Red Pill movement has diminished so much in popularity that it's like, I mean, the fact that it still exists and has any amount of popularity is fucking tragic, but it's like, it is a shadow of what it once was. And it's because that kind of mindset just isn't sustainable. Like, it just doesn't work. And the counter movement of genuine education and people chatting like sense on TikTok and stuff, I think that overpowered the Red Pill movement a little bit. I don't know if that's naive of me to say. Maybe the Red Pill movement is just going strong and I just don't get it on my like corner of the internet or my For You pages. That could be maybe potentially true. I know Tate still has his like die-hard supporters, but like no one really takes them seriously, nor should they, by the way. It doesn't make them any less dangerous, but like no one rates them. There are a couple more articles I want to look at, but first let's have a look at an actual TikToker that has been going insanely viral recently, a 19-year-old trad wife.
I'm 19 years old, married, no degree, no 9 to 5, and I'm exactly where I want to be. Let me answer all your questions. Yes, I got engaged at 18, married at 19. I didn't go to college. I don't plan to. I don't have a degree. I don't have a job, and I'm not getting one. I love to cook for my husband. I love to host. I love to run our home.
Okay, real quick. Loving to cook, loving to host, loving to run the home. That's all great. That's brilliant. I love those things too. However, the obvious worry here is that 19 years old, no degree, you've got like, you know, not an amazing education by any means. You've got no job, no stream of income here. What happens if the relationship doesn't go amazingly? You are now stuck in a position where you don't even need to divorce, right? If the relationship is going badly and you even think, I might, you know, second thoughts creep in a little bit, you get cold feet, it doesn't matter because you're kind of fucked now. Like, you have essentially trapped yourself in this bubble of marriage with this bloke where no matter how much of a demon he turns out to be, divorce and leaving the relationship is going to be significantly harder of a choice for you because you have way less options and way less opportunity for outside the divorce court. And then, God forbid, you actually do divorce, which you should, obviously, if the relationship is going fucking horribly and this guy's a prick. I'm not saying he is, but if that was the case, then what then? I pray to God that they didn't sign a prenup. I pray to God that every trad wife on the planet has not signed a prenup. One thing men complain about a lot that really fucks me off, actually, is the idea that, like, women getting 50% of whatever income or whatever at the end of a marriage is, like, unjust. And it's like, no, if your woman's been sat there helping you out the entire time and you could not conceive, well, you couldn't, like, continue your career in the way that you have been doing without them, and they were at home cooking the food, taking care of the children, making the home a home, then they deserve 50% of the fucking income. It's like, look at this situation, for example. If they divorce, then what the fuck is gonna happen to her? The fact that she's working so hard at home means she deserves and needs 50% of the fucking income. Because, like, what's the alternative then? Again, if they do divorce, this husband, he has the whole world at his feet. He still has a job. He's still taken seriously. He has his education. He's, I don't know how old he is, but I'm sure we'll find out. I'm willing to bet that he's a lot older than her, because if you're making enough money to support a two-person household, then you're gonna be, like, I'm gonna guess 30s, this guy? Maybe, like, a really well-off late 20s dude? Which, I mean, that's a whole nother can of worms, them fucking marrying a 19-year-old. By the way, they're good to go. It's just a really, really, what's the word? Compromising situation for a woman to be in. And if you are to enter into a lifestyle like this, you need to do it with the mindset of, I need to know exactly what happens here if we divorce. Because I know the idea of divorce is so foreign to everyone who gets into marriage. But It happens 50% of the fucking time. No one gets married or gets into a relationship wanting to divorce or wanting to break up unless you're a fucking psychopath. But guess what? It happens all the fucking time. So you have to imagine, you have to be able to conceive of a world where you're not together anymore, and you have to be able to sort of plan out what potentially you could do if that were the case. It's just a responsible part. It's just like a vital part of being an adult, in my opinion.
These are things I'm very passionate about. I get asked about this a lot, but me and my husband dated for 6 weeks before getting engaged.
Oh my fucking God, dude. Okay, the thing is, the fucking grin, the shit-eating grin that she's saying this with, I don't know if this is rage bait or not, because surely she knows how angry this is gonna make people.
Didn't have a wedding. We opted out of the whole big wedding thing. I got married at my husband's house with 20 people. Now, personally, I think wedding culture has gotten so out of hand and people are getting married for the party. When I was a little girl and I dreamed of my wedding day, I dreamed of being married, not being in a big gown. And I didn't do that. I got married in a dress that I picked up from Bloomingdale's the day before for $200. I got married to build a life with my husband, the man that I love, not for the party.
I just hope that's true. I hope that is true, and I hope she genuinely didn't have this big dream of a big wedding and stuff. Because it is possible that she's just sort of lying and coping now, and she wanted this big thing, and the husband was like, nah, fuck that, let's just get married at home. Which, that wouldn't, like, shock me at all. I personally never met someone who wants to get married and doesn't want a wedding. I've met people who just don't care about marriage or don't want to get married. That's fine. That's a different thing from getting married in, like, a really softcore way, though.
A 2-month honeymoon instead and make lifelong memories that I will savor forever. Also, yes, me and my husband do have an age gap. He is 10 years older than me. A lot of people seem to think I got married for religious reasons. That's not true. Yes, I'm religious. I'm not that religious.
You know what? Fuck that. I don't give a fuck. If you're a 30-year-old man and you're dating a girl for 6 weeks and then you get her to marry you and stay at home and be a trad wife, you're a fucking wrongin', dude. You are wrongin'. Let me redo that. All I hear is I'm a fucking pedophile, and the thought of getting with someone my age is terrifying, and they don't like me anyway, so maybe I can trick a young, naive woman into falling in love with me. If I'm lucky, I can get them to fall in love with me as quickly as fucking possible and lock them into a marriage and lock them into children. It's like everything about this is just screaming red flag. And look, I've got nothing against this woman in particular. It's just worrying. Like, it's really, really worrying.
Wanted to. And I'm told by a lot of people that I should be young and out there and living my life. I don't know what that means. I promise you I am living my life to the fullest in my faithful marriage. Anyways, that's a little bit about me and my life. I hope I answered all your questions.
I got married at 19. I'm so thankful my dad told me I wasn't allowed to get married unless I got a degree. Now I'm 29, stay-at-home mom, full-time baddie, and pursuing my master's degree. I know if something was to happen, I could take care of my house, kids, and him if I need to. But inshallah, never. Education is peace of mind. This is facts, by the way. I think a big issue with, both the right and the left as well nowadays is the demonization of university. There's almost like this, what's the word? Nihilism, that's it. Yeah, both sides have this sort of, but particularly the right, they have this like nihilistic attitude towards college and university. With the right, it's obvious why. It's because usually university students skew more left. But even when I talk to like my friends and that nowadays, there is this general mindset of like, university is pointless now, which like, yeah, maybe it's not as useful or efficient as it once was in terms of getting you a job immediately after. But for all the human history and now as well, it is shown beyond a shadow of a doubt that having a university degree, going through university, is statistically way more likely to net you with a higher income in your life. University students consistently perform better than non-university students in pretty much all aspects of life, but particularly financially. If you don't have a clear image or you're not working towards something amazing or something that you're sure you want to be doing for the rest of your life and it's not already going well and you're at that age where you're about to enter into college or university, then you should probably just enter into college or university and find a course that you're interested in, if that makes sense. Like, if you're ever having to question, should I go to university or should I pursue this thing? If you even need to ask the question, go to university. Because the only people who are able to sort of drop out or not go to uni and still make it or still be successful afterwards are those who don't even need to question whether or not uni is for them. Because they're already working on something that is doing so well that they know there's no point. That's my opinion, at least. I'm sure people will disagree with me in the comments, and that's fine, but that's how I think of things. Because you always hear the success stories about people who drop out of uni or never went or whatever, but you never hear about the way more common story of people dropping out and not going and then failing or not achieving those big dreams that they might have had, right? And especially if you are in this trad wife's lifestyle, having that sort of education or degree to fall back on is very important in my opinion. So even if there wasn't a big age gap, 6 weeks is not enough time. You can't fall in love with someone in 6 weeks unless you're mentally broken. Like, that's not healthy. It's not healthy. Baby, you should be at the club is a comment here. I'm not a fan of that comment, to be fair. Clubbing is like super hit or miss. Some people love it, some people don't. If you're like a 19-year-old girl and you don't want to go to the club, that's perfectly fine. I did not want to go to the club at 19 years old, and every time I did go, I was stone cold sober. It is depressing though, like it really is. These comments are not it. Got married at 21 and I'm a stay-at-home wife too. Always a problem when we share what we choose to do with our life. It's not really about that though. It's about a grown man marrying a teenager. It's about the divorce rate being 50%. There is a 50% chance this goes to shit. And then what happens? Like this, what kind of position is this woman in after that happens? If it does, God forbid. Again, I really hope that there's no prenup signed here and that she is like financially compensated for the amount of effort she's put into the relationship if that were to happen. Because she fucking deserves it.
I'm back and I decided to listen to all of your advice and go pursue getting a degree in psych. I'm back in the kitchen where I belong. Now let's cook for a man. Wait, not just any man. My husband. My husband asked me for bagels.
I don't know if this is, it's like, come on now. I don't know if this is real or not. Here's a lovely comment. Where I belong is wild. As a 32-year-old wife, social worker, and mama of 2 girls, this is coming from a place of love. You are smart and capable. Your self-worth is important. Please remember to not lose yourself in your marriage. You can pursue your dreams and be in a happy marriage. Marriage is a partnership and you have to work as a team. Now look, I'm sure there are a lot of people whose genuine dream is to be like a stay-at-home mum, make the house a home, take care of the children, cook the food. That is like a genuine dream that I'm sure a lot of people have. And that's fine. But you need to be really fucking careful, dude. It's like if your dream is to be like UFC champion of the world, there's a high chance it doesn't happen and you just get your fucking brains kicked about for years on end and then get really bad CTE for nothing. The risk to reward factor is not proportional in the way that it is for most dreams, if that makes sense. Because like, if your dream is to be like a world-class guitarist, right? And you work at it and you do it and you don't get the fame that you quite want, it's like, well, you're still fucking great at guitar now though, and that's good. That's like a plus that you got from it. Maybe you can do a couple gigs, do something like some live shows or something, make a fair bit of money out of it, but it's not like the big dream that you wanted, but it's still, you know, shoot for the moon. If you miss, you end up amongst the stars. Great, but that's not the case here. It's like worst case scenario, you shoot for the moon, you get what you wanted, but then if it goes to shit, you're not in the stars no more. You're right back where you started, except a few years later. Or worst case, maybe maybe you're in your 30s and you've really got nothing to fall back on. I'm guessing, is the rest of this video just her making bagels? Oh, you know what? I will fucking give her credit. Those look banging. And you know what I will say about this girl, by the way? These videos get a lot of views. So it's not as though she isn't making income. I feel as though that's kind of important here. So you know what it is? I think it is technically rage bait, and I think that can be said for a lot of the trad wives on TikTok that make a lot of money being trad wives and baiting people. Because like, yes, I do believe that the lifestyle she is sort of promoting is real and that she does live that way. But the idea of her not making any income is false, in my opinion. Like, she's making money through these TikToks. She's basically self-employed, which is great, by the way, because it means she does have something to fall back on if this all goes to shit. I'm not saying it's the most firm ground ever. Once again, she only has sort of 70,000 followers, and I'm not sure this account's been going on for too long. But it is something. It is something, and there's real grounds here to make like a very popular TikTok account that does super well and makes a lot of money. So I do wish her the best in that regard. But there needs to be, I really do think there needs to be. I'm not expecting. You know what it is? It's weird. I'm not expecting her to give like a disclaimer of how risky this lifestyle is because she's a fucking kid. She's a kid who, in my opinion, is being manipulated by a much older man. So all I can really do is gaze at it and wonder and worry. Maybe use it to sort of make the point to you guys that this is a very cautionary tale.
To all my ladies out there, 18 to 25, that want to get married, don't date for a long period of time. 6 weeks is more than enough. I am a 19-year-old wife.
I'm very curious to see what she has to say about waiting 6 weeks before marriage in this video. Actually hearing her justify that amount of time, I think will be very interesting.
And I got engaged at 18. If you're looking to get married while you're still a teenager, listen closely. Here is some dating advice. My biggest piece of advice to all the young ladies out there looking to get married is date with intent. I got engaged in just 6 weeks, and that was plenty of time. I didn't date to mess around.
Thing is though, you don't know if it was plenty of time. You're 19 years old. You've probably not even been married for a year yet. It's like if your pal's been dating someone for 4 months and they come through and you don't really like the boyfriend much and they're talking about how they're certain about this guy, they're gonna marry him, have kids with them. In your mind, you're like, yeah, sure, whatever. But in your head, you're like, no, you're not. Like, I know you seem certain about it because everyone's certain about the person that they're dating, but like, this is not gonna fucking work, dude. I don't think you're equipped to give a marriage advice as someone who's not even been married for a full year yet. Who's not even been in this relationship for a full year yet. Like, you can't say that it worked amazingly because saying that it worked the word worked implies like lots of history. If you've been married for like 30 years and you're saying that this marriage worked spectacularly, then that's something there's like something to dig into there. But not here. I don't know. I just think it's really naive and fucking ignorant and ridiculous to make a claim this confident based on such little experience.
If you want to be treated as a high-value woman, you have to think of yourself as a high-value woman. My time is precious, and I'm going to use it wisely. In just 6 weeks, me and my husband covered grounds that most couples who date for years never cover. Don't date just to have a boyfriend. You're dating to get married. You're dating to build a family. What is your foundation? How do you want to raise your kids? What is money going to look like? What are your morals and values? When you're going out on dates, these are the things you should be talking about, not what your favorite color is. Now, a lot of you are about to disagree with me, but I believe that love is not the most important part of a relationship.
Okay, I'm going to stop that there because that is one of the most unhinged statements I've ever heard. I've just got fucking mentally molested by that statement. This brings another bit of worry in my mind. I'm like, what happened within those 6 weeks? Are you going, because if you're dating someone, maybe one date every week or so, if you're like really into them, so did you meet 6 times before marrying, or did you live with them essentially for the 6 weeks before you fucking married? So was your first date like 6 weeks long on some lesbian shit? Pick up all the lesbians whose first dates last 6 weeks, by the way. I don't know, it's just food for thought, I guess. Like, what the fuck did those 6 weeks actually look like? And it's very easy to lie. It's so easy to lie about what you want. Like, oh yeah, I'm a really responsible guy and I make this much money and this is what I want in life and this is how I'll treat you and this is how I can do things and this is what I can cook and this. It's like that. You can say those things, but unless you've actually lived with someone for a prolonged period of time, you never really know. I'm a big believer. You're not truly dating someone unless you've lived with them for a prolonged period of time. People really don't like when I say that, but I think there's so much merit to it, man. Like, yeah, you got a boyfriend, you got a girlfriend, you're dating someone, that's fine, that's whatever, that's dandy, that's dancing dildos, it's peaches and ice cream and just lovely jubbly, right? Brilliant. But there is a big distinction between relationships where you haven't lived with your partner versus relationships where you have. I'm not saying that the ones where you haven't lived with them are like illegitimate by any means, but the ones where you have lived with them, there needs to be a big distinction between the two. Because that is the make or break moment when you really, truly understand whether or not this person is compatible with you. Because there's no lying. There's no, like, if there are issues, they will slip through the cracks relatively quickly. If there are things that they do in their household that really fucking annoys you, if there are chores that aren't being done, that they claim that they will have done, if they make promises that they don't fulfill later on in the day or later on in the week, despite promising to, if, I don't know, maybe you're coming home from work one day and the house is significantly dirtier than when you left it, it's like, these are the little things that pile up and fucking kill you. I know in a lot of more conservative households, you need to be married or engaged before you live with your partner. That is a terrifying thought to me.
Hear me out. Of course it is important, but love grows. You have to be focusing on the things that really matter. This is the person you're about to build your life with.
The things that really matter is love. Like, everything else is a subset of loving your partner. Teaching people that love is like not an important part of a relationship, or not the most important part even, is in my opinion quite a dangerous mindset to instill in people.
He's not only going to be your husband, but the father of your children. You may be head over heels in love with him, but what happens when you get married and your fundamentals don't align? He wants 7 kids, but you want 2. You want to fly first class, but he thinks it's a waste of money and only wants to fly coach. Now what do you do? Another very important point I would like to make.
Well, that's the thing. That's not the most important part of a relationship, because if you actually love, this is why love is the most important part, as corny as it sounds, because if you love each other, then you will compromise. I want 2 kids, you want 7. Well, I love you, you love me, let's go for 4. I want to fly first class, you want economy, let's meet in the middle and fly economy this time and then first class next time, maybe on a shorter journey. Or maybe if the woman is working, as most women are, if they want to fly first class, they can split it 50-50. That's like a decent compromise, right? There are so many things that you could be doing here, but they all require a certain amount of love and respect for each other, because if you don't truly love your partner, then you'll be selfish, because selfishness is what happens when you don't love someone. And that's facts, by the way. That is one thing I'll always preach. Being selfish is the #1 indicator that you don't love someone. And if someone is being selfish towards you, that is the biggest indicator that they don't love you.
I've seen couples that have dated for years succeed and also not succeed. And I've seen couples that dated for very short amounts of time succeed and also not succeed. The amount of time they dated really didn't matter in the end. Some succeed, some don't. As a matter of fact, I think couples that date for a longer period of time find reasons to not be together rather than be together. Because marriage is permanent. You find an issue and you work it out.
It's not permanent. 50% of them fucking fail. Has that number changed? It's been 50% for a while now. 40 to 50% of marriages in the UK and US end in divorce. However, the number is steadily declining. That's a good news, at least. Maybe it's because people are being more selective about marriage. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I know, but I'll look into that. That is interesting. Apparently, 85% of first-time marriages are now expected to last past the 10-year mark, which is good news.
You can leave at the smallest inconvenience. You are not perfect. And neither is your partner. You're gonna get into disagreements, you are going to fight, you're gonna have your moments. That does not mean break up. Marriage forces you to work these things out, learn how to communicate, talk, work it out. But dating, you can just leave. The second you don't like something they do, you can go. Don't date for a long period of time. 6 weeks is more than enough. I love you all.
Yeah, that's a good thing though. Like if you're dating someone and you don't like something that they do, the ability to leave is a great thing. That's the issue with getting married too early, is that if you get married too early and then discover something that you really don't like or don't value in the other person, you can't just leave. So you're now trapped in this fucking hellhole. I want to move on from this woman here, Ava, but I'm sure we'll have more. I'm sure we'll have another look at her on stream. Go subscribe to my stream channel, by the way, Shepherd Boy. I stream here, but all the highlights go up to Shepherd Boy. We upload like once every day, if not twice a day.
Since you guys are so curious about my marriage, I'm going to talk about it. These are the controversial rules in my marriage that some people hate, but they work for us. We live traditionally. My husband leads, I follow, and our marriage has never been stronger. Rule 1, he has the final say. Not because I'm weak, but because I trust his judgment. One leader means no chaos. Rule 2, I don't have to work. If I want to quit everything tomorrow, he would support me.
He has the final say in everything? If there are two people in a relationship, virtually by definition, there are going to be some things that you're more educated on and he's more educated on. That just doesn't make sense from like a fundamental, even from like a ultra-conservative red pill level, that makes no fucking sense.
I don't have to work. If I want to quit everything tomorrow, he would support me. What I choose to do is my freedom, not my burden. Rule 3, I protect the home. Cooking, cleaning, nurturing, creating peace. That is my power. A man cannot fight battles outside if his home feels like a battlefield itself. Rule 4.
This fucking, like, caveman mentality. Fighting battles, if the battlefield's not... It's like, let's not use this stupid terminology, man. I hate this shit. I hate when people talk about, like, the idea of, oh, I need to be with multiple women because I need to spread my seed, and this is like, this animalistic instinct and all this shit, and this is how men are meant to operate. That so many red pillars sort of, well, at least back in their heyday, sort of, preached, I guess. It's like, no, there's no battlefield. We're not cavemen. There's no hunter-gatherer. When was the last time you even picked a fucking berry in your life? The last fruit you ate was probably cherry Coca-Cola. There's no animalism. There's no instincts. There's no fucking battlefield. You're just a bloke. You're just a bloke.
No opposite sex best friends. No secret DMs. No just friends with somebody who would date you if they had the chance. Loyalty.
This is not controversial. Well, how is no secret DMs controversial? No other sex best friends. I mean, does that imply that other sex friends are allowed? Other sex best friends? I kind of maybe understand why some people are insecure enough to a point where that's not allowed, and that's like not necessarily the most controlling thing in the world. I don't personally understand it, but I get it. I just don't feel that way personally, but like I wouldn't judge someone heavy for that rule, I guess.
He is black and white. Rule 5. He pays the bills, I multiply the value. He provides financially, I turn what he provides into meals, memories, and a home worth living in. Rule 6. No clubbing or bar scenes without each other. Single life behavior does not belong in a committed marriage. Rule 7. No thirst traps online. If you ever see a risque photo of me, it's because my husband posted it himself and I reshared it. I'm not advertising for other men's attention. Rule 8. He protects me physically, I protect him emotionally. That's the masculine and feminine dynamic working in sync.
It's not, though, because you need protection emotionally as well. Like, all you're doing with that mindset is, like, basically coddling this fucking bloke to be the most emotionally immature bastard on the planet. We do not live in a world where you need to be constantly protected physically. This fucking weird Game of Thrones ass example that so many conservatives give of like, oh, if you're a man, what are you gonna do if 10 men trying to like beat your fucking girlfriend? It's like, this doesn't happen. It's not a real thing that happened. What are you gonna do if someone breaks into the house? Who comes down the stairs? It's like, this is not a situation that we need to be worried about. However, needing emotional connection or emotional support, that is a thing that everyone needs basically, and fairly often too. To say that the man protects you physically from, like, faux made-up intruders in this fucking suburban upper-class household area in your nice car versus you taking care of him emotionally constantly is fucking unhinged.
Rule 9, divorce is never an option. We fix it, we fight for it, we don't quit when things get hard.
Ridiculous fucking rule. Stupid rule, dude. Divorce is an option. Of course divorce is an option. If there's abuse in the household, divorce is the only option.
Rule 10, sex is never a bargaining chip. It is not a weapon. It is a part of intimacy that keeps the bond alive.
How is that a controversial rule? What the fuck? Does that imply that she thinks in most relationships that aren't traditional ones, sex is used as a bargaining chip?
These rules might sound crazy.
That doesn't sound crazy! That's like a good rule that everyone should have, and everyone probably, well, most people have. I don't think this person understands what real relationships look like.
But they work because we respect our roles. You don't have to agree, but don't knock what's working. If this makes you mad, ask yourself why. And if you get it, you know why traditional marriage is stronger than ever.
It makes us mad because you aren't giving the correct disclaimers, the appropriate, the necessary disclaimers to young women who might want to get involved in this lifestyle. You need to tell people how fucking risky it is. Because it's so risky. You need to be preaching, don't get involved with men who are 10 years older than you at 19 and marry them within 6 weeks. The crazy thing is, not so long ago, this was normal. No, it wasn't! This fucking misinformed bollocks. Once again, women have been working strenuous, laborious jobs for the majority of human history. That's how a marriage works. Excellent. Great rules. We need more women like you. These guys are all losers. Fucking losers, dude.
Here are a few things that I do in my traditional marriage that I feel like would make a non-traditional wife, like throw up, go in a coma, all that good stuff. I cook every single meal that is made in this house. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. My husband is barely allowed in the kitchen. He can go in the kitchen, throw something away, and grab me something to drink, but that's about it. I want you out. Don't touch an eye. Don't touch the stove. Don't touch a utensil.
That one's not too bad. I don't mind that one. I'm kind of the same in my relationships. I do all the cooking. But I love cooking, though. It's not like a burden for me at all, so I rate that one. In my last relationship, she did all the ironing, though, and that sort of evened it out because I fucking hate ironing and she fucking hated cooking. I'll tell you what, honestly, there was something really beautiful about that arrangement. I really enjoyed it. So I don't mind that rule. It's a good rule. I don't mind it. If it works for you, it works for you. There's nothing judgmental. I have nothing to judge there.
Number 2, I stay at home with my son. My son is my responsibility. If you don't know context, we wanted to adopt. I wanted a baby real bad, so we adopted a baby. My son is my responsibility. He's fine. Don't do too much. He's fine. My responsibility. Does that mean my husband hates being a father? No.
I think I instinctually clicked off the video because I was not happy with what I was hearing. So, no, the kid is not the kid is your plural, like the plural your. English doesn't have a plural for your. It's y'all's responsibility. There you go. The baby is y'all's responsibility. Tell you what, there's one good thing about the south of the US is that they have a plural for the word you.
Don't do too much. He's fine. My responsibility. Does that mean my husband hates being a father? No. Because when he gets home, guess what? He wants to wake him up. He wants to put him down for sleep. He wants to change him if he can. But the majority of it is me.
Okay, majority. Okay, again, this is like, I don't mind this one as much either.
Number 3, I don't pay for a dang thing. I don't pay for nothing. Even this little bit of money that I've been making off of TikTok shop, sometimes I get my nails done.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, you seem to be doing so much in the household that I would imagine, I mean, that's how it should be. If you're doing that much, then he should be treating you like a fucking princess.
That's about it. I don't pay for nothing. I don't even know how much my car insurance is, my car note. I barely know how much the mortgage is because it's on my phone and my husband ain't good with technology. So yeah, I don't pay for nothing. Number 4, I don't touch the trash. The outside trash, I've never touched it. Even when it got delivered to our front porch, I called my husband when he was at work. I said, hey, the trash cans are delivered. When you get home, pull them into the garage. He said, okay, I don't touch the trash.
I like that as well. It's like he's not doing, so it's not as though she's doing all the housework. This is the guy's doing some shit as well. This one doesn't seem like nearly as offensive or outrageous or extreme as the other ones. I'm hoping that the age gap is appropriate.
Number 5, all of the cleaning is on me. All of the cleaning is on me because I be making the mess. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. My husband's very, very clean. He barely makes a mess ever. I ransack this house about 4 times a day and I clean it about 7 times a day. I do all the cleaning.
Again, if that works for you, it works for you, but cleaning is such a big, like, it's so hard. Any adult will know. Cleaning is so fucking hard, dude. It's not hard in and of itself, but it's like, it's hard in conjunction with everything else you need to do as an adult. Like, living as an adult, you have to make like 3 meals a day, and you have to go to work, and then you have to clean the fucking house, like doing all, and then you have to like go out and meet your, it's like, it's hard. It really is hard. Life is not easy. I feel like if you're in a relationship, even if you're doing the majority of the housework, they should help a little with the cleaning. Well, that sounds a little, I'm sure maybe she's hamming it up for the video. Again, though, I don't mind this one as much because we don't get the arrangement of the really coercive arrangement that that the first girl sort of gave us. Like, I'm sort of running under the naive assumption that they got together after a reasonable amount of time and it's a reasonable age gap and all that shit, which I can only hope to be true. And if that is the case, then this guy's fucking great or whatever, and this relationship goes on for eons to come and they die happy with their children by their side, then fucking good on them. I don't think anyone should judge, you know, women like this for wanting to live their lives in a certain way. I just think that giving the adequate amount of caution and education, and these women having the knowledge of like what could possibly happen here and having like a backup plan to fall back on is super important. When they call Trad-Wives oppressed, but I just spent my morning cuddling with my husband before he left for work, playing with the kids at the park, shopping for the week at an organic grocery store, reading my Bible, and planning homeschool lessons, and I'm heading to buy a sewing machine to play around with. This comment here hits the nail on the head, by the way. I live the same and I love it, but I also know I'm lucky because I have a healthy and good marriage. This type of life with the wrong man is living hell. I unfortunately have friends who have been through it. I wish this kind of mindset or this kind of rhetoric was shown by more Trad-Wives online, where it gives like the negative tales as well. It's not all just sunshine and rainbows and guaranteed success. Like, you need to be giving these stories where you need to like sort of de-glamorize it for people as well. It's very, very unrealistic for people to expect it to go well 100% of the time. There's one article from The Guardian that I wanted to read you guys as well, from a woman called Lucy Knight who spent a month in the Trad-Wife world, and they are quoted to say, "I can't pretend I'm not enjoying myself at all." So I'm pretty interested to see what they have to say about this all. No one I know wants to go spend their one wild and magical life being a shill for some billionaire tech assholes, says Shannon, a character in Yesteryear, the buzzy new novel about a Trad-Wife influencer by Caro Claire Burke. Shannon is a Gen Z woman who is working as a producer for the protagonist, Natalie, 32-year-old social media star seemingly with more than little in common with some aspects of the real influencer life, Hannah Nealman, who rose to fame documenting her life as a wife and mother on her ranch, Ballerina Farm. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to read this whole thing. We'll skip ahead a little bit. For a month, I took on the challenge of consuming as much Trad-Wife related content as possible, reading the novels, watching social media content, and even testing out some of Nealman and Smith recipes to try and get to the bottom of what exactly it is about Trad-Wives and the culture surrounding them that is so compelling. Week 1. Prior to this month of seeking out all things Trad-Wife and honest, my algorithm has already served me a few of Smith's videos, so I was familiar with her format. The 24-year-old model child / husband has been craving a particular food stuff. She tells the viewer in an almost husky, almost whisper. She whips up whatever it is, whether that means recreating the American ready meal hamburger helper or making her own bubblegum, all against the backdrop of her pristine kitchen while dressed in the couture. The whole thing, even down to the names of the children, Rumble, Honey, Slim Easy, Whimsy Lou, and Fawny Golden, is so ostentatious that it's almost camp. And if I didn't know that Smith had married the Mormon model Lucky Blue Smith at 18 and given birth to her first child that same year, I might have assumed that hers was a parody account. Fuck me, I didn't even know about this. Apparently Nealman is due to give birth to her 9th child any day. Oh, this was around about the time Ballerina Farm was selling raw milk as well. As I watch, I can't pretend I'm not enjoying myself at all. Smith's highly stylized cooking tutorials in particular have a way of sucking me in. But when the Nealman's 9th child, a daughter, is born on the 4th of March, I'm reminded of her comments from a viral 2024 interview with The Times, in which she admitted that she had an amazing experience when she was able to have an epidural during the birth of her 6th child, Martha, while her husband was out of the room. The implication appeared to be that her husband might not have approved. It's a reminder that whilst it's easy to get sucked into the rainbows of it all, it's when you zoom out that you start to think about what it might actually be like to live the way these people do. Yeah, the epidural thing was crazy. That is a huge thing you see in this Trad-Wife culture, though, especially in Mormonism or Church of Latter-day Saints, whatever you want to call it, is like this complete rejection of science or birth control or sort of pain relieving methods during, like, there's this emphasis on natural births that I find quite detestable, really. And of course, you're enjoying yourself watching the highly stylized TikToks that are made for entertainment value. They're not real. It's not even their real kitchen. Like, it's purely just for the TikToks. Like, it's entertainment. It's not like a real depiction of what their life is actually like or what real life genuinely looks like for families who partake in this manner. She talks about how she really enjoyed making bread and she forgot how, like, relaxing it was to make bread, which I guess maybe that's like a potential good thing that comes out of these Trad-Wives accounts, is like good cooking recipes, I suppose, because the bread especially does look pretty fucking good. So, like, you know, maybe it's not all doom and gloom. We get some good bread out of it. Huge amounts of people feel like they're overworked, says Professor Hee-Jung Chung, co-author of a 2025 study by King's College London that suggested the appeal of the Trad-Wife phenomenon is a reflection of modern pressures. They're on a hamster wheel of just firefighting everything, maybe work, maybe parenting, maybe social life. They feel like they're never getting a rest. But can it be possible that women with 4+ children actually have a slower pace of life? Another line from the Times interview comes to mind. Neilman sometimes gets so ill from exhaustion that she can barely get out of bed for a week. Not even barely, she can't get out of bed for a week. Plus, I remind myself there's more to life than good bread, because as much as I love baking, I also like seeing my friends, going to the cinema, visiting art galleries, and swimming and reading and partying. And if that means supermarket loaves win most weeks, I'm broadly fine with that. Most of the content I watch is honestly quite boring. I have to remind myself, though, not to feel too above those who get sucked in. I have been known to hoover up the objectively boring content of the UK-based influencer Molly May, whatever. I think this is just a bit of a bullshit paragraph. Here we go, this one's important. That's not to say that cooking and cleaning can't be a positive choice, or that a stay-at-home mother can't be a feminist, but I do worry about the message being disseminated. Is all this content inspiring people who don't have wealth or careers of the Neilmans and Smith, who lack financial independence or an easy way out of their relationships, should they turn sour, to become true traditional wives? And what of the culture that glorified tradwives in the first place? As Burke wrote in a recent piece for The Guardian, the term was originally coined and circulated by men born out of the dank, murky caves of online incel forums, where anonymous usernames set forth to the deeply unoriginal vision of a wife who would do everything the real woman in their lives refused to do: manage the house, give birth to children, have sex on command, and most importantly, ask nothing in return. She then read 5 Trad-Wife sort of books or novels. Yesteryear explores the relationship between the manosphere, the political agenda of the conservative right, and the palatable nature of Trad-Wife influencers' content. Burke tells me that Neilman's Ballerina Farm account grew millions of followers the summer that Roe v. Wade fell, thanks to a number of conservative influencers starting to amplify the platform. She bolts at the idea that women just want this, pointing out that a lot of this stuff is very well funded. The problem it becomes clear as I finish my Trad-Wife absorbed month is that none of the fantasies sold to women as the thing that will make their lives better actually work for most people. Not being a girl boss who expertly balances a high-flying career while also somehow never eating ultra-processed food and completing a 15-step skincare routine every morning, but not living on a farm with an ever-expanding brood of children and hens either. Yet young people are still turning to the fantasy world of Trad-Wives to see if it can offer them something better. We haven't done enough in most governments to address the general feeling in young people not being able to make ends meet with a job, not being able to get on the housing ladder, forget about having children, says Shung. In this landscape, she says we have to be careful about normalizing even those innocuous little bits of the Trad-Wife aesthetic, down to a dress or whatever. Because in these markets of Trad-Wifedom, we are potentially signing to each other that we're going back to these very old-fashioned norms, which we know were quite misogynistic in the way we treated women, and it's giving the wrong impression. After my trip into Trad-Wifedom, I agree with Shannon that no one I know wants to spend their one wild and magical life being a shill for some billionaire tech asshole, but they don't want to be a shill for a misogynistic husband either, so can we have a third option, please? And maybe that can become the hottest new trend. Good article. I'm a big fan of this one, actually. I was a little worried at the start that it wouldn't be exactly what I was expecting, but I'm a big fan. I think it was a super productive article, so big up Lucy Knight for that. Here she is here making some bread. Looking lovely. Would like to end this portion of the video by going over some former Trad-Wives, I guess, for lack of a better term.
I am trying to highlight people who I think are doing important and brave work in a time when it is safer and easier to just put your head down and go along to get along. So today I want to tell you about a creator named Sherry Luvina.
Here she is here, Sherry Luvina. She has 20k followers. She's a survivor, a mother, and an advocate, and she is someone who was formerly a part of this lifestyle of Trad-Wife. She made quite a powerful and important video after escaping this lifestyle, I suppose, detailing just how dangerous and risky it can be.
So as the Christian far right pushes one narrative, I wanted to highlight the strength of someone who comes forward to speak honestly about the reality from the other side. So watch this, and I'll be back.
I was abandoned by the Trad-Wife community when I was 26 years old, and I do not doubt that if any of them see this video, they are probably going to disregard everything I say, and I really can't blame them because I would have done the same prior to what happened to me. When I was 26, I was almost 8 years into being married to my husband. I had married him straight out of high school. I was 18 when I got married, and we promptly had 4 small children, and he moved me thousands of miles away.
See, again, off the bat, this does not sound like, it sounds crazy and mental and insane, which it is, but it's not a very dissimilar or unfamiliar story to the ones that we've already been hearing this video. So just bear that in mind with what we're about to hear. Because I'm sure she didn't enter this relationship wanting to divorce or wanting the relationship. She entered this relationship certain, just like all Trad-Wives do.
Because he was an active duty Marine, and to everybody on the outside, we looked like a very all-American happy family. In reality, my husband was quite abusive towards me, but I accepted it. I accepted it because I was raised in an ultra-Christian family and I believed firmly in submitting to your husband.
And remember, divorce is never an option to so many people in these households. In Trad-Wifedom, the concept of divorce is alien. It's looked down upon worse than abuse probably is a lot of the time, because abuse is seen as like an issue that can be fixed or endured or worked through.
I did not believe in divorce. I was basically taught from birth that God saw divorce as a sin and that you didn't do that. You didn't get married planning for divorce. That was something only people who didn't have God in their heart did. And so when anybody would tell me, what would you do if your husband, passed away one day or left you? I would be like, that's not something we worry about. God will take care of that in the end. But here I was. I had just discovered that my husband was a child predator. I had just called the police, and suddenly I was a single mom of 4 small children, and I didn't know what to do. I had no prospects lined up. I had no job history. I had no college education. And now I had the daunting task of calling my family and telling them that not only was their daughter getting a divorce, but she was married to a child predator. And to tell you that I lacked support from family and friends would be an understatement. My pastor proceeded to tell me that I needed to forgive my husband because having hatred in my heart would keep me from being accepted into the kingdom of heaven. My parents would tell me that they didn't know what to do. My mother told me she didn't know how divorces proceeded. She didn't know what to tell me to do. And they both wanted me very badly to come home, but we also didn't know how to get me home. And then you add in my husband's own mother. She chose her son. She wanted me to reconcile with him as well. I didn't do that. And I really pulled away from the traditional housewife community in that I wasn't willing to forgive my husband. He hurt me. And not only did he hurt me, he hurt children. And I could not reconcile that in my heart.
Yeah, nor should there be any obligation to, by the way. Which I'm sure everyone watching this video... I don't think there's anyone watching this video who's, like, judging her for not forgiving this fucking piece of shit. I'm gonna put her Instagram on screen once again now. Let's put her on screen right now. Big shout out to this creator for explaining the caution behind, or, like, the potential issues and risks that come with such lifestyle. So, yeah, I mean, look, this is one tale. I'm sure there are a lot of other sort of tales of failed marriages or failed trad-wife relationships that aren't being viralized or shown on the internet, which this girl isn't even viral by any means, by the way. But regardless, the entire point is that the idea of trad-wife or traditional relationships being like a pure, magical, blissful thing where you don't need to work and you take care of the kids and you can just, be in your feminine energy and just do whatever the fuck you want, basically, is complete bullshit. Even if that was the case, it would be just as laborious and work-driven as having an actual full-time job, because taking care of that many children is fucking difficult. And also, like, if you fuck up, if you do a bad job, then that's catastrophic. The effects are catastrophic. So the pressure is on. If you do a bad job at work as, I don't know, in an office or like a journalist or something, maybe a story gets botched or something, maybe you cut to the correct camera a couple seconds too late and viewers click off. If you're a YouTuber, maybe you make a video that doesn't do as well as like the other ones do. It's not a big deal. Like, nothing, it's not catastrophic the same way that a botched child is.
So y'all want to know the scariest thing, and it's happening to me now, is being a female, married. I'm 37. I have 2 kids. They're 5 and 7. And I've been a stay-at-home mom for the past 10 plus years. I have no income. I have no money. I use my husband's credit card and I use my husband's money. And 2 weeks ago, he told me that he wants to move forward with divorce. Today, I literally, like, I use an American Express credit card for everything. It's got my name on it, but obviously he pays the bill. He told me he's gonna cut it off, and I gotta, like, move all the automatic payments and stop using it. And he said, you need to start using your own card now. What card? I don't have a card. That is my card. Terrifying. I mean, I feel like a little girl who needs their mommy because I don't know how to take care of myself. I don't, like, it's just terrifying. Terrifying. So y'all want to know the scariest thing, and it's happening to me now, is being a female.
This girl here has another pretty viral video explaining the issues with this marriage too. Again, it's all terrifying shit that, like, when people think of the worst case scenario and it ends up being something like this, it's not them being delusional and it's not like they're so paranoid that they're thinking of something so impossible that's unlikely to actually happen. It's like, no, this is a very real possibility and extremely risky, especially when you barely know the person that you're marrying. In this video here, she'll detail that there was like a big age gap as well, just like the video that we were talking about at the start of this one.
I'm 37. He'll be 55 in March. And I married an older man thinking that he was ready for marriage and to settle down. That he was ready to have kids and that he was done being like the boys my age were. I was 24 when we met. But, you know, you can't change people. And for the first time in 13 years, it's day 4, where I've had no surveillance over him. I don't know where he is, or what he's doing, or who he's with, or who he's texting, or what he's searching for, or what he's putting in his notes, or his calendar. And for the first time in 13 years, I'm feeling like I can breathe again. Like I don't have to keep track of his every move.
See, even just that word surveillance, it sounds so clinical and not love. It's like actually insane. The fact that you've been living like that for so many years is harrowing. Look, either way, I'm glad that these two people seem to be doing a lot better now, and I wish them all the best, and I think they're great creators, and I think you should go show them some love if you do. Aside from all that, though, that's pretty much all I really have to say about the whole recent toxic Trad-Wife epidemic on TikTok. So as always, hopefully you all enjoyed. If you did, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next one. So yeah.